So this is lesson 10. I should have thought about this before I volunteered. Oh, does everybody want to introduce themselves? I'm Susan Mars.
Ashley Angus.
Thank you. Thank you.
Katie Cook.
Thank you.
Alexis Wilcoxon.
Thank you.
Michaela Wilson.
Thank you.
I vote we do that alphabetically next time, so we are by our last names. Then we'll know who should go.
Okay. So should we just go through this with questions and have each person answer them? I interviewed the director at our local YMCA. Her name's Lisa, and the purpose of the Y in the community is to offer a facility for learning to love physical fitness, and their mission, to put Christian principles to practice through programs to build a healthy spirit, mind, and body for all. Oh, is somebody going to take notes to do a summary, or do you want me to do that, or is somebody going to do the summary? Hello?
I'm happy to take. I'll take notes.
Okay, thank you.
Could you tell me the name of your organization again so I can get that on paper? One more time?
What?
Oh,
YMCA. No,
of course. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm old. That was funny. Should I just go? I mean, should we just? How do you want to do this, ladies?
Why don't we just each take turns and share our organization, and you pick who. So you tell us who's next.
Well, I don't know. Are you all in line the same way you're in line on my computer?
Probably not.
Okay, Colette, you spoke first. You can go.
Did you already go? Are you done?
Yeah, I just said, what organization did you interview?
Oh, what organization? Okay, it's called COSFA, Court Appointed Special Advocate.
Okay. Michaela, who did you interview?
I interviewed someone that I volunteer with at, she oversees the volunteers at Head Start.
Oh. Ashley?
I interviewed someone at Larimer County Social Services, Welfare Social Services, or something like that.
And Katie? Alexis. Is it Alexis?
Yeah, I think Katie was trying to talk, but yeah. Go ahead,
Always
Katie.
do that. It's like my tradition when I come here to. So I interviewed I initially was going to interview a group from American Mothers, which is a national organization, and in Oregon it's called Oregon Mothers, but I just found out that the group I always talk to and associate with had to remove themselves from the group because of some moral issues, and so now they're called, what are they called? They're called Mothers Legacy Project. That's what they are here now.
I did the local YMCA around here too. So.
Oh, my pictures disappeared. Okay, would you like to go through and describe what the mission of your program is? Are we still on?
Sure, I'll go first.
Thank you.
I'm ready to go. So I'll just tell you a little bit about what I learned, and I'll make it precise. So basically, their missions, our mission through Compassionate Influence, it's a humanitarian thing, and their logo, not their logo, but there's a quote here. I can't think of the word, but it's one woman, one family, one act of service, one at a time. And like I've said, they kind of had to reinvent themselves because they couldn't be part of this group anymore because of some of the moral issues that they were having. And so they've become a fundraising, mostly fundraising organization, and they fundraise, $5 to $10 million a year, and they put it towards each individual in the group kind of oversees something that they're passionate about as mothers, because this is a mother group. And one of them is involved with, she discovered that there were a lot of deaths that happened during birth, and so she did some research on what causes those deaths, and so her whole focus is on just promoting safe birthing, really. And she is an artist, and so she made a statue to sell, to earn money for her cause. There's other ones that like to go to Africa, and they help women with birthing children in Africa to make sure that we're getting these little ones on the earth. Let's see. Oh, and right now they do go to the UN every year. So the one I was supposed to interview, she ended up, I didn't get to her soon enough, so she's at the UN right now in New York City with a couple more representatives from the group. So that's just kind of what they do. They're moms, and they say, hey, I'm concerned about this in the community, so they go do it, and they help each other fundraise for that as mothers. It's been kind of hard to reorganize because, like I said, they're part of a national group, and so they had a lot of support. Now they're on their own, and I have to say that I'm impressed with this small group and what they've been able to accomplish just in the time that they decided to remove themselves from American Mothers. And yes, a lot of them are the LDS group that pleaded with the American Mothers not to promote same-sex marriage and things like that. So they finally said, we just got to break off and continue the work. So it was just kind of interesting. I think that's about it.
Well, thank you. I was going to ask you that question, so I'm glad you answered that. Thanks a lot, Katie.
Yep.
Any volunteers to go next?
I can go.
Okay.
So I interviewed a social worker and at Larimer County, and Larimer County is a county just on the other side of the highway here, so it's only like a 30-minute drive away. And that county, I just have it's known as the uppity part of the state, where like a lot of hippies live. So I always make fun that it's just a place that it's just a foreign country. It's so different from the rest of Colorado, because I live in Greeley, and I live east of Greeley, so I live in a rural community, and so I don't get to head out there that way. They're building a temple in Fort Collins, so it's going to be awesome that a temple is only going to be a half hour away instead of 3 hours away. So it's just, I don't know, it's kind of an up and coming place, and so I've always wondered what they would experience there, because here in Greeley, you see, even though it's rural, you still see a lot of poverty because there are a lot of Somalians, there are a lot of Mexicans, and there's just, they're trying to make their way. And so I think that even though the county is only 30 minutes away, I still kind of view it uppity. So I wanted to see kind of what the difference was that they experienced kind of there, because they don't have a lot of Somalians there, they don't have a lot of Mexicans there. And so anyway, it was interesting to hear her thoughts on what she experienced there, and she still lives there. and she doesn't do it anymore. She couldn't take it anymore, just with helping kids, and it was very hard on her. And so she actually started this career kind of on a whim. She got a sociology and criminal justice degree, and she thought that she would apply as a social caseworker, and she really had no idea what it entailed. And there's a lot of foreign language when it comes to that position. So she was like, I don't really know any of this stuff, but I'm willing to help. And what she saw over there and in society at large, she says one of the biggest problems for family in the community is intergenerational issues. She says that's one of the biggest problems, as well as poverty. She said it doesn't matter where you go, every community struggles with it. There will always be families that will have that problem. She said drug and alcohol use and mental health issues are all entwined with those issues. And her mission at the place, at the social worker place, she said that the mission of the child welfare system is to prevent child maltreatment and address problems when they occur. There are a myriad of interventions available to families in the community, and she kind of hit some of those interventions that as a community we can go to. She's like, you always have those groups like, is it Big Brother, Big Sister program? Is that what it's called? She was starting to talk about programs like that where people can volunteer their time and make sure that kids are getting attention, or that you can have families go to the help that they need. And she said, by law, the child welfare system in Colorado is family first. Family options for placement are prioritized. I think that the system sometimes fails families, but keeping families together when safety is possible is the ultimate goal. I think one of the hindrances was having to deal with systemic and administrative requirements. There is so little research about what actually helps families that new approaches are constantly being tried. This almost always means more paperwork, more red tape, etc., and it doesn't help families at all. And so she kind of we kind of talked about how the government really kind of throws social science out of the window, and how they're always trying to keep their fingers involved, keep their hands involved, and try and control it while throwing all the other things out. They're just so focused on, okay, families first, what can we do, that they kind of ignore what actually works. You know, if you're saying, okay, if your goal is family first, then let's apply these sciences or social sciences of what makes it work. And sometimes the government just doesn't do what they need to. And then I think the big, let's see, what else do I want? She said so many good things, and she said it in her verbiage, so I'm trying to like because I was like, I don't know what that means. But I think one of the biggest things she said is, how can communities be enabled to help meet the needs of families and children? And I love the last part that she said, but I'll read everything that she said. She said, there are many ways communities can help. The obvious things, such as being generous with our time and money, can help, but little things like getting to know our neighbors and being able to offer a helping hand when they are in crisis are the very real things that help. People need to respect other families who make different choices in the way that they raise their children, and they need to take action if a child is being hurt or neglected. It is a difficult line to walk, especially in our culture. Educating the community about abuse and neglect is important. My personal soapbox is the idea that strangers are a threat to our children, which I feel has eroded children's ability to become independent and self-sufficient. Of course, some strangers are a threat, but it is exponentially more likely that children will be harmed by someone that they know, and kids and parents alike need to recognize this and become educated. Finally, to quote my mentor, as a community, we need to remember that parents can love their children very much, but not very well. It is our job as a community to help parents who are not doing very well to do better. It benefits us all, especially our weakest and most vulnerable members. So I thought that was really cool, especially with the video that we watched about the woman, you know, leaving the baby in the car. You know, parents can love their children. You know, they really do, but sometimes they just don't parent very well. And it's not our place to criticize or demean or belittle. It is our job to help them. We need to educate parents. We need to educate families. And, you know, and this woman, she's adopted two little girls, or brother and a sister, and they were abused by someone that they knew. And it's as I watch, and I know them, I know this family, they're members in the ward, and it's just so hard to watch them deal with issues that they experienced from their biological family. And so I really like what she had to say. You know, she's like, this is my soapbox, but we all need to be good neighbors, and we all need to be aware of what's going on around us so that we can be people in Zion. That's our job. So anyway, it was a good interview. I really enjoyed this assignment.
Oh, that's fantastic. I really liked your quote. Parents love much, but not very well. I think that's so true about what happens to, you know, parents. Thanks, Ashley. Can I ask you before I forget? My nephew just served a mission in Fort Collins area.
Oh, really?
He just left in December. His name was Billy Sell.
No.
You didn't meet him?
No. Usually they travel all around. Like if they go to one ward, they usually like rotate. So
Yeah.
if that name doesn't sound familiar.
Okay. Well, he spent a lot of time in Wyoming, so.
Okay, he might know my I bet you that he would know my family because they also live in Wyoming, and we always. Oh, you're related to so and so? Yeah.
Yeah, his name's Bill Sell. He just left in December. So
cool. Very cool.
He's always talking about Greeley. So who would like to go next? Thanks, Ashley.
I'm happy to go next if no one else is ready.
Thank you, Colette.
Okay. All right. So I don't know. Have any of you heard of CASA? C-A-S-A.
Yep.
I'm just curious if anyone else has heard of it because I had never heard of it, but it's actually a national organization. And
I've heard about it from other people in classes.
Okay, implemented at the local level. So I just was curious if anyone else had heard of it. So it stands for Court-Appointed Special Advocate, and I interviewed the managing director there, and I just asked her for some background, and she said that it was started in 1977 in Seattle by a juvenile court judge who was concerned about the fact that he didn't feel like he was getting enough information about the children that were involved in neglect and abuse cases, and felt like he needed to know more about them personally. I mean, the parents had their attorneys, and the Department of Family Services had their representation, but he didn't feel like the kids were really getting, were really being heard. So he started this, and what it is they are citizen volunteers, and what they do is they speak up for the abused and the neglected children that come through the court system. So their job is to get a better picture, a snapshot, she called it, of the children. And so their job is just to focus on the children. And let me think about this for a minute. I have lots of notes, so let me just gather just a little bit. She said when the children, they go into the court system, there's a lot of things that aren't normal any longer in their lives. Sometimes they're removed from the home. She says we have a lot of grandma parents parenting their grandchildren, and she said sometimes even they have to go into foster care, and they have to sometimes be in a different school system, not always. So there's a lot of disruption in their lives. And she said a lot of times these volunteers are the one constant in their life. And the one adult, the one person that they can count on and spend time with, and feel like they're really being heard and listened to. So to become a volunteer, they of course you submit an application and there's a background check, and then you have to do about 30 hours of training, and it kind of involves like a quick view of general child development and understanding bias, and then they do a lot of case studies to kind of build some sort of a foundation, she said. And then once their training is complete, then they're actually sworn in by the court, and they become a friend of the court, she said. And so once that happens, they can, when they get a case from the county attorney, then the volunteer has to sign a confidentiality statement, and then they read the case. And as long as there's no conflict of interest, then they can go ahead and take the case. And once they have the case, they have access to everything. So they have access to any court documents, anything through the school. They have access to everything about the child, and they are able to go to the child and spend time with the child. And they're asked to do that at a minimum of 2 times a month, and usually it's more than that. And they can go have lunch with the child at the school. They can go to a park. They can do whatever, trying to understand the child, their view, their feelings on the whole situation, and getting that snapshot, that picture of the child. She said, the amount of time they spend also depends on the age. She said, because we have from newborns to usually age 16. She goes, every once in a while we'll get a 17 and a half year old teenager, but for the most part, it's newborn to 16. And so it kind of depends on their age, how often they visit with the child. And so they do that. They spend time with the child, and they also go to monthly meetings with the counselors, the social worker, and give some sort of report in that meeting as well. So that's basically what they're asked to do. She said rarely are they asked to go to go on the stand. She goes, it will happen every once in a while, but for the most part, the judge will just ask them if they would like to add anything, or if they have anything to say, in those meetings with DFS and the attorneys and whatnot, and the judge, and they can add something then. So she said, I live in Wyoming, and it covers a couple of different counties, and so she said sometimes we'll have as many as 89 cases, but the average is somewhere between 48 and 61 cases. And she said, and usually we only have about 26 volunteers, so they don't ever have enough volunteers for the number of kids that they have. And I asked her how they got money, and she said sometimes they'll get grants from the National CASA Association organization, but mostly she said they do get another little bit of money from the Victims of Crime money through Wyoming Attorney General, but for the most part it's local churches, local businesses, and they do 2 big fundraisers a year. So that's pretty much. I asked her if there was anybody else employed besides herself, and I'm sure in bigger states and bigger counties there's more employees, but she said they have a secretary who works about 30 hours a week and gets paid for 10. So yeah, it's very much a volunteer thing. And she said whatever she can do to get someone to advocate for a child, she will do. So I thought it was a pretty good thing, just trying to get the child's perspective on a lot of these scary things that are happening in their lives.
Doesn't I say something?
Yes.
Just a thought. I was looking at the website here, and on the front, this is the Portland one in Portland, Oregon. That's where I'm at. It says 600,000 plus children go through the family court system annually, and it just makes me wonder if we can get that many volunteers throughout the country to help out. I can see where it would make a dent and make a huge impression, especially people like us who are learning all this psychology stuff and the effects of family systems. And I don't know, just stood out for me that I'm looking at the number there, and hard to gather volunteers.
Yeah, and that's exactly what she said, that was the one, I mean, obviously the main part of all of this, and it was really hard to come up, to have enough volunteers. And she said that the volunteers stay with the case until the case is closed and the child is somewhere safe, whatever that is the court finds where that safe place is for them. But anyways, yeah, I thought it was really interesting, and I wanted to encourage you to, I know time is not something we always have abundance of, but even to look at your local group and see how it is in your own community. It's, like I said, CASA. And it's actually, like, if you go to the national website, it was casaforchildren.org. So it's very interesting.
One of my thoughts, and I was talking to somebody yesterday at my school board meeting about how we have all these organizations. I'm sorry, I'm taking the airtime again. I'm good at that. All these organizations in the community, they're doing their separate thing, but we all have the same theme. And it's like, how do we get some of them to integrate with each other and bounce off each other? Like the group I have, it's mothers that are trying to see where they can help, and you have an organization where they're looking for help. So it's how do we get everybody out of that vacuum sucking away, and this groups can really help each other. So I'm anxious to hear what everybody else's groups are to see if there's some integration that can happen and helping each other out.
Yeah, totally agree. And something I really hadn't heard about this group. I haven't seen any advertisements in the local paper. I mean, I shouldn't say that, but like daily or weekly advertisements, or even ads put up somewhere around town or anything. I haven't seen anything like that. How I found out about it is there was a section put into the local paper last year, and it says volunteer in your community, and then it had all, and I kept it and put it in a drawer, and that's how I was thumbing through it when I had to do this interview, and I'm like, oh, I'd really like to know more about that. But other than that, that's the only time I've seen it talked about, advertised, or anything, looking for volunteers. So anyways, I thought maybe they could, and maybe they don't have the money to try to advertise. I even think they could have some free time at, the local radio station or whatever. But anyways, there you go. Check it out in your community.
I'm checking it out now. Thank you.
Okay.
Do the volunteers just get one child to help, or are they assigned to a couple?
From what I understood, and it could be different in everybody's county, town, however, she said they just stick with one, and then once that case is closed, then they will get another one.
Oh.
But and like I said, it's Wyoming, so it's a smaller area. But they want you to focus on that child, so they probably don't want to overextend you either. So.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Are you going to volunteer?
I am seriously thinking that I would like to do that. I mean, what a better, I don't even know, maybe it could go as part of my internship too. I don't know, but it was
that's a
something
good
that
idea.
I would really like to look at and do. I'm pretty sure I could pass the background check.
Good. Yeah, I've got mine done for my job. That's great. Thanks for bringing that up again. Okay. Who would like to go next? Michaela or Alexis? Is Alexis back yet?
I can go.
Okay, thank you.
So I talked with her name was Jenny. She oversees the volunteers at Head Start, and I've actually, for my other classes, I've had to do some volunteer work there at Head Start, and so I've been able to actually work with her. But she says that, like, the reason that she chose to do that is because she's had family members, what you might call underprivileged, and they've had children that have just kind of really, really struggled, and she's seen how hard that is on their kids and on their family, and so that's why she was looking for something that could maybe help underprivileged children, and that's why she went into working at Head Start, because it's basically what they do is they help children who have either learning disabilities or some sort of circumstance in their life where they can't they may not be able to develop normally, may not be able to be on track in school, may struggle. And so what she thinks is the most prominent problem, at least with those that she works with, is that sometimes the family, they just, I don't want to say they don't care, but those are the words that she used. They just don't care. They want to be able to just send their kid off to this school or this daycare, kind of a school daycare kind of a thing, and just have all their problems solved that way. But she says they don't understand that their work is what's the most important, because they also work with families as well as the children. They do some family visits. The parents are required to do a certain amount of volunteer time, you could say, where they have to come and spend time there with their kids. But it was, she says, just so surprising how people just want to be able to send their kids off and have their problems solved by someone else, and they don't want to do their part as the parent. But I don't know, it was very interesting. It's been very interesting to volunteer. I've been working with one of the young boys that has a hard time eating. He was basically starved as a child. He never ate. His mother never fed him unless she ate, and she was anorexic. She was struggling with anorexia, and so she only fed him when she ate, which was rarely, and then she never had enough breast milk to feed him that way, so she would give him a little bit of formula. And so he's got a whole terrible legal situation going on with custody and things like that, but he just really struggles to eat. So I work with him on lunches, trying to convince him to eat things and to try new things, and he's done a lot better. But it's just sad to see kids in that kind of a situation. But it's a really great program. I would love to actually work with them. I might look into doing my internship with Head Start, but they do a lot of teaching. I've gotten to assist like as a teacher aide in a lot of their classes, and it's like a little preschool, but it, depending on the age, it has after-school programs and things like that. It was just really fun to be able to interview her and also be able to be a part of it. But yeah, it's really sad to see, but it's really great to see some of the progress that some of the kids go through.
That's interesting about the that little boy's situation's different, but that's the fourth person I've heard in just the last 2 weeks that have children that have difficulty eating. And it's like, I wonder why and what's going on. But it sounds like, I hope that you'll be able to get your internship with Head Start. That sounds great. We have a Head Start in our town, and it really does a lot of good. It's a great program. Thanks, Michaela. Okay. I haven't seen anything from Alexis yet, so I'll go. The purpose of the YMCA is to offer facility for learning to love physical fitness. They offer swimming, gymnastics, baseball, t-ball, basketball programs for grade school, and fitness and babysitting for families that come to take the fitness classes. Lisa said that they also, in the last 5 years, have started the Pre-K Counts program in their building. They also offer birthday parties, personal training, tumbling tigers, and youth sports. And their main efforts are youth development, healthy living, and teaching children to be socially responsible. That reminded me of the video I watched for that Bernice, and she had that family center, and their only requirement was to act like young ladies and gentlemen, and I thought that's what we need more of in this world. The Y does a lot of fundraising. They offered over $75,000 in scholarships for memberships, and usually they will match a family's ability to pay. And this counts for the Pre-K Counts program too. Lisa got involved with, she went back to school to get her associate's degree to get the job she has at the Y now. And she's also one of the main fundraisers for the program. She says one of the most prevalent problems for families is poverty in our area, because so many businesses have left, and it's left behind a lot of unemployment. Then the question, is it child or family focused? She sees their programs as stepping into where families are failing their children, and they also work with families to strengthen their abilities to parent. So it was good to interview her and talk about the Y, and to hear the passion she has for the work she does in helping the children of our community. So, a couple of their programs, she says Kids Need Heroes and Healthy Living. They have 2 programs that help raise money for the Y. So that's all I have. Any questions? Okay, is Michaela back? Or sorry, Michaela, is Alexis back?
Yeah.
Good.
So I also did the Y around here. I've never been to an actual like YMCA. I don't know if you guys have, but like I've heard that it's like really fun for kids and stuff. And because I talked to a couple of ladies at my ward about the organizations around here, because I'm not from here, so I had no idea like who to ask or anything. So I asked them, and they told me to go to the one near my town. And so I just basically talked to one of the workers there, and it was actually really interesting because the person that I talked to actually attended one when they were younger, and they just like, they love the environment that it has, just like how Susan was saying. There's all these summer camps, there's swimming and all lessons, there's just all these activities for adults, for seniors, for little kids. And then ours also offers the preschool. There's a couple of them around here. And so this person, I asked them the question of what led them to get involved into the YMCA. And I love that they said this, and I'll just read what they wrote me. And it says, I got involved because I knew that I wanted to help children and families come together. They were, or where they could know they are safe and wanted. I went here as a child and it felt like I did not belong anywhere because I moved here on the mainland. And she said she was from Hawaii, and this made her not know anyone. Her family moved here because her father had to get a different job. He lost his job there, and it's really expensive to live there. And so she moved over here. And when she went to school, she didn't make any friends fast. And then they made fun of how she dressed and the meals that she ate that her mom packed her for lunch, and just all of these bad experiences. But then she had someone that did come sit with her at lunch, and it was the second week of school. Sorry, my son's playing with the dog. Really, shh. And it was the second week of school, and her friend that she is friends with now came and sat by her at lunch and actually invited her to go to an activity that was at the Y that she goes to after school. And she didn't know what it was because they didn't have any around where she grew up, and so she went, and her mom said she could go. And she just said that when she went, it was like she felt safe and that she felt welcome. And everybody around her just wanted to be with her. They didn't care about how she dressed, and they just wanted to hang out with her. And so ever since then, she always went to the Y and hung out with her friends, and those were her best friends that she's ever made. So when she was able to start working there, she got a job there. And I just really like that story because, like, I feel like there's a lot of kids that go through life and they feel like they are not wanted, or they don't fit in anywhere, and they don't have a place to go. But around here, you can go to the Y. And I also talked to her about, like, the different types of people that she sees here, because I was really curious about it, because where it is in California, it's in like a very like a rich city that you're known for. It's, I don't know if you guys know, but it's called El Dorado Hills, so it's where a lot of rich families live. And so she said you'd actually not know if they're rich or poor or like middle class, because they don't care about that stuff around there. They just, you know, they care to get to know each other and have fun, especially with the kids. You can really tell. And she showed me one of the classes that she was teaching, and she teaches the swim class there. And so she was showing me all these things that the kids do, and you wouldn't know if one kid was rich or poor. They didn't treat each other like that. They just treat each other like they were best friends. And I just really liked that, because there was another person that I talked to there, and it was about the question of, like, do you think it matters? It was in the reading. It asked us to pick one of the questions, and I asked them if they think it matters that if a person can make a difference. And they said that they believe that anybody can make a difference, whether it's one person, a group of people, or an organization like the Y. And he said that's why he got involved as well, is because when he was a child, he didn't have anybody to go to. He said his parents always worked, and he was left with actually a nanny. And he came from a richer family, and he was just always with his nanny, and he always felt like he couldn't come home, and not that he wasn't safe, it was just that he felt like he wasn't loved or wanted, because his own family didn't want to be around him, which was so sad to me. I was like about to cry when he was talking to me about it. It was so sad. But he got involved in the Y. His nanny took him there with her own children, and he got to make friends. And so he was telling me that he thinks that it's really helped the kids in the community, because he volunteers at some schools to go and talk to them about certain things. And he actually is friends with the girl that I talked to at the swimming thing, how she was bullied. They go and talk to the schools about those certain things, which is really cool. Because I remember growing up in high school, we had a lot of things about bullying, because there was kids that got bullied so bad, you know, they would commit suicide, or, you know, things would happen. So he was telling me that he has actually seen a lot of those kids that they go and talk to at the school come to the Y and hang out and meet new friends, and they have completely changed from just, it's crazy. He says that he met them and you could tell that there was a chip on their shoulder, or, you know, something was wrong in their life, but now when they go to the Y, that they are just, they're all family, they're all friends, and then they're safe there. So that's basically what I talked to him about. And then I got all the information that Susan did, like what their classes are and all that kind of stuff too. And I don't want to repeat it, but that's basically what I learned when I was there. And I think it was really cool. I've never been there, and so I think I'd send my kids there and my friends and family. So that's kind of what I learned.
Thank you. Sorry for taking some of your information.
Oh, no, you're fine.
So, does anybody else have any questions to anyone else? Going once, going twice, going 3 times. Okay. Katie, do you want to do our summary?
Sure. It's kind of a different summary. So hopefully I got creative with it. So we each talked about our organizations. Ashley talked about Larimer County Social Services, and she learned that, hold on, let me try to gather this all together since I haven't gathered it yet. Where's the oh, and what it focuses on is the struggles that they have are intergenerational issues and poverty, and the drugs and alcohol and mental that comes from these issues. They also help with prevent child maltreatment and resources for help and family first. Their solution is they feel like the family together is best and wish that the government would consider that and not throw social science out of the window if they're going to keep their hands in control of it. Does that kind of wrap it up? Oh, and we need to educate. They want to help educate parents, because parents do love their children very much, but not very well. So educating parents really seems like the big goal. And then Colette's is CASA, and it was started in Seattle, and it is getting volunteers to be involved with children who are being either relocated or struggling through being removed from their families through abuse and other issues. And so they're just a volunteer to follow these children so that they can have their voice heard. That's good. There's so much. I have a page for each of you, and I'm trying to figure out how to wrap it all up. Michaela, she interviewed Jenny at Head Start, and Head Start helps a lot of those who have learning disabilities and are not developing normally, so that they have a safe place to learn, whether it's emotional, physical, mental, or their health, such as eating. It also is a place to educate parents. And you also have an opportunity to be trained up so you can be a volunteer. If I'm missing anything, say, hey, I have it all written, I just don't know what to emphasize here. For Susan, she wrapped up YMCA, that it's a place where they offer physical fitness, babysitting for those who want to take classes. They celebrate birthdays, they focus on youth development, lots of youth sports, and they help youth be responsible in society. They also offer scholarships. I think I skipped one. Who did I skip? Okay. And then Alexis, I loved what Alexis did, because you put a personal note on all of this. So when I report, I'm going to say here's a kind of a personal story, which I think is great. That you talked to someone who actually grew up with the YMCA from Hawaii, who felt very alone and very disconnected, and when she was there, she felt safe and welcome, and now she's a part of it. And she feels like the YMCA is what you can call a family where you're safe, and it doesn't matter what your status, your SES is, or who you are, you're accepted and treated the same. And she made all her best friends there. And so to wrap it up, we've all decided is all these groups bring, we hope that we can bring all these groups together to kind of help out. Communication is best to advertise so that we know these opportunities are available. There's a lot of opportunity available for our internships in some of these places that we interviewed, and in the end, our end quote that I'm going to put is, anybody can make a difference, whether you're an individual or a group. Does that work?
You just skipped yourself. I just want you to remind you of that.
Oh.
When you make your notes. So that's great. Anyone can make a difference.
And that's probably where my group comes in, because the group I interviewed was a bunch of mothers that just want to see how they can change the world in whatever group they can associate in, and where their talents and skills could be focused.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, thank you, ladies. Hope you have a good afternoon. I hope nobody pinches you on St. Patrick's Day. I'll see you next week.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Susan.
Bye-bye.
Bye.